So this is just a quick and easy way to make roubles without getting into any fights with other PMCs. The idea is if you spawn on the right, you run all the way to the right hand side, you go past all the loot caches, and then you go for extract. Similarly, if you spawn on the left, follow through the lines, go past all the loot caches, and then go for extract. So on my first raid, I made about 769,000 roubles. On my second raid, I died. Third raid, I made about 424,000 roubles. And then this is my fourth raid, which I made about 682,000 roubles. So I spawned about here, and now I'm just running all the way down to the south. At spawn, you should take it quite slow. Look at every corner, because this is the most risky part of the raid. Everyone else is spawning around you. So I wouldn't suggest running through here unless you know it's safe. You can see in the distance now that there's a bridge. That's where we're going to be starting our first cache. By now, all the PMCs should be about quarter to halfway to the resort. So you can speed it up a little bit, but always still check around. So this is the first loot cache. The easy way to remember this visually is you're at the bridge near the concrete type of foundation, and it's just underneath this log. This is one of the loot caches, or one style of the loot caches, which is a blue, and then the other loot caches you'll see soon. So now we're going to head north with the river on our right, all the way to the second loot cache. As you can see, I'm running quite a lot more now. I did just clear this area out, so no one should be around here. So arriving at the second loot cache, good way to remember it is to see that rock on your right, or if you come in the other way on your left, and it's just the bush closest to it. And then that's the other style of loot cache. It's more hidden, twigs and bushes. If you're new to Tarkov, I suggest just grab everything. The more familiar you get with it though, the more you'll be wise with what loot you should be grabbing and what's not worth anything. So now we're just going to follow the perimeter to the third loot cache. Always suggest following the perimeter because you only have to watch your left and your forward. There's no one going to be on my right over the river. There's a little grenade box here, which is always good to loot. And there's sometimes a scav that spawns on the road just back there, so take it a little bit careful if you come in here late. So now we're arriving at the third loot cache. An easy way to remember this is when you walk past that train line on your left, and it's just in this cluster of trees just ahead. There'll be two close ones right next to each other, and from the trees you should be able to see the train line and the rock. Now this is one of the only times that we're going to head out into the open. We're going to run into the top of that hill. This is one of the easier ones to find. All you have to remember is there's the tall tower, and you want to go to the other side of that red hut. So it'll just be in these bushes, pretty much perpendicular, or straight through the tower and the red hut. Now we're going to head somewhat back the way we came, but we're veering to the left a little bit. Call this part the triangle. We're going to go to the next hill, which is just there. So the way I remember this one is, it's right at the tippity top of this hill. There should be 2 trees there and a little gully when you look over it. A little tip is you can hold X just as you loot and it'll make you go prone instead of standing upright while you loot. So now we're heading to the next loot cache. This one's a little far away. We're just going to go run back to the perimeter and then follow it all the way north. I'm pretty sure in one of the recent updates, Nikita bumped up the value of the loot in these loot caches, so this run can be very lucrative, especially when you're passing like 15 of them. So I remember this one because there's the cluster of trees as you pass the power lines. You're going to want to run straight through all of the trees until the cluster ends. And then it'll be between these 2 bushes just there. So we're going to head to the next one, and again, just follow the perimeter, so you only have to check one side. Up here there's normally a scav spawn, which is why I suggest breaking in some form of long range gun, but you can still just run a pistol. And you'll see in a second, I'll look over the hill and look for him. There he is, and then continue. So there's an extract just here. If you've already looted up quite a bit, you can extract here. It'll be green smoke showing. So at this point, you're going to run over the bridge, and you're going to turn right. And for this loot cache, we need to be proning to loot it. Now if you've got high enough strength, you should be able to sideways jump up this. Might not be able to do it in early wipe. There's some scavs around here, which is why I take it a little slow. So the way I remember this one is you'll have the rock on your left, perimeter on your right, and then it's in line with the rock and the tree, and it's just next to the bush. Nice level 4 helm. So now we're going to follow the perimeter further. This is quite a long run. There's some scavs that spawn in this tree cluster, so I always suggest to take this a little slow. As you can see soon, I'll turn the hunter in more of a close range gun. Now remember, without armor, scavs can easily 1-tap you with a shotty or 2-tap with other guns. So you gotta take it pretty safe. I come into these raids with no gear on apart from a gun. means I can loot more. Most times you'll find an armor piece or a helmet and another gun to take home. So yeah, I'm just scanning the area to make sure a scab's not going to shoot me in the back. You can loot these 2 weapon boxes, but they've never got anything in them compared to the loot caches. So we're still next to the perimeter, and we're just going to run all the way down till we can see a truck out in the swamp. The swamp seems pretty scary, but to be honest, no one's ever here. I've only ever been in one fight here in my whole time of doing this run. So now what we're going to do is going to run into the swamp town from that weapon crate, and we're going to go into this first house. Some nice easy loot in here. One more crate outside. So now we're going to run further into the swamp, but veer to the left. So as soon as we get to the wooden path, we're going to run down it. As you can see, I'm pointing to the bush that we have to run around. There's swamp and water in here, so it'll slow you down. That's just the best path to take to not be slowed down. Yes, this is one of the caches in the swamp. Paracords are worth quite a bit. Now we're going to run back around the way we came. Through the bush on our left now. Run back to the path. Follow the path all the way down till we get to the gate on our left. Which is just there. I'm looking at it, but we're going to take the shortcut. And then if we turn right here, around the fence, there's another cache. So there's one more cache that we're going to hit up in this area. So we're going to run to that house on our left. We're out of the swamp now, but just near this timber type of stack, there'll be another cache on the other side of the fence. As you can see at this point, I've got way too much loot. I probably would just head for extract at this point, but for this raid I wanted to show all of the different caches. And now we're going to loot the little house. You'll know this house is looted if the door's open. Having trouble trying to work out what I should drop. The helmet's not going to be worth too much. water filter on the floor. That's great. So now we're going to head out of the house and run back to the perimeter. We've only got 2 more caches that will do on this run. So the first one is just before the town. Find the wooden path that leads in. And it's right next to this fence near the bush. Head back to the perimeter. And this next one will be just after the truck against the perimeter. So the easy way to remember it is the brick fence, follow that down to the perimeter and it's in the bush. Nice MP5. And the chocolate's worth quite a bit, so I'm going to have to get rid of something. Awesome. So keep heading down south with the perimeter on your right. So we're just heading for extract now. I like to come up here and scope the area out because scabs can spawn down here. Sometimes people extract camp down here. You can climb down the hill. Just make sure that you're strafing towards the hill, and then that's it. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. That last raid was worth about $682,000 on the flea market. Obviously, when you're below level 10, you'll have to vendor everything, and it only comes out to about 166,000 if you vendor it all. But some items you'd want to keep till later. But yeah, thanks again.